Hello, and welcome to episode number 19 of the Tweedle Eat, Tweedle Run podcast, where Steph and I document our Run Disney adventures in both Disney World and Disneyland parks. I'm Court, and this is Steph.
Hello, and as always, you can interact with us on Instagram at TweedleEatTweedleRun, or you can reach out to us via email at tweedleeattweedlerun@gmail.com, or watch our smiling faces on YouTube, where you can like and subscribe if you hit that sprinkle some pixie dust on that like button, or listen to us on Spotify and Amazon Music. On today's episode, we will be finishing up Court's thrilling trip to California that she took a couple weeks ago in the middle of November, with how it all wrapped up at going from a very slow day at Universal to an insanely busy day at Disneyland. So,
Yes.
Court, where would you like to start with this adventure?
Well, let's just jump right in, Steph, because it was a much crazier experience going to Disneyland than it was Universal. So if you haven't listened to the Universal episode, check it out, episode 18, where I talk about how easy it was to navigate that park. So we
And like a peasant with no
like a
speed
peasant.
pass.
Yep, no speed pass. We paid the $25 for the early entry, which we almost didn't even probably need, but we did it anyways. So fast forward now 2 days. So this is Friday. We were going to Disneyland Park. We picked this day one reason because the holiday stuff was all opening this day, and I thought that would be cool to be there with the holiday stuff. And then we found out that Splash Mountain, now re-themed into Tiana's, was also opening this day. And my oldest son Cooper loved Splash Mountain, so I thought, and he also really enjoys Tiana's, like all the music from Princess and the Frog. So great, even more reason to go. So the other thing I should mention, which I've talked about before, the reason that we went was to go and see my husband play in the World Masters Ultimate Championship. So my husband's team makes it to the gold medal game, Steph. And when is
Yes.
the gold medal game? It is at 10 a.m. on Friday. So, not ideal.
Less than ideal for sure.
Less than ideal. And the way that the Disneyland Genie Plus system works is that you cannot start booking Genie Plus selections until you have tapped into the park. So unlike at Walt Disney World, where you can sit in the comfort of your hotel room or wherever you are and just start booking lightning lanes, you can't do that at Disneyland. You actually have to tap in. So I thought, you know what, let's go to the parks. The park opened at 8 a.m. this day. So I thought, let's go to the parks. We'll go for an hour and then we'll head out because we had our rental car and it was, like I said, 20 minutes, no traffic to get to the fields, which, spoiler alert, it actually was 20 minutes.
Oh, first
Yes,
time yet.
I know. Well, I guess if you go at, 9:30 a.m. on a Friday, it was better than driving during rush hour. So our plan was, yeah, we'll go back to the hotel, drive to the fields. Fine. So we stayed at the Hyatt Place, which, as we talked about, is really just down the street. It's like two major blocks down from Disneyland Park. Super, super easy walk. Literally just walked up the street from the hotel to get there. We left the hotel at 6:40 in the morning and we were at the gates by 6:55. So, we walked through security. There were definitely a lot more people around when
Yeah.
we were entering, but no real issue, got through security. I had a pretty big, oh no, at this point in the day, we didn't have very much stuff with us because we were only going for the first hour. So I literally just had like my little pouch with me. So we get through, we line up at the gates. There's about 10 people ahead of us in line at each of the tap styles. So just to give you an idea of like how many people are there. So we're an hour before the park opened, or a little bit more, an hour and 5 minutes, and we are nowhere near the front of the line. So excuse me. So 7 a.m. virtual queues open. And remember, we were discussing, there were all these different virtual queues I maybe have to have joined. And I found out after doing a little more research after we recorded that I can only join one at a time. You can only hold
Mm-hmm.
one virtual queue. So I had to decide whether I wanted to join the virtual queue for Holiday or Haunted Mansion Holiday or for Tiana's. Tiana's is included in Genie Plus. So you were able to book a lightning lane for it or join the virtual queue. No standby line, but you could like essentially join the standby line using the
Sure.
virtual queue or whatever. So 7 a.m. I decided we're going to go for Haunted Mansion Holiday. And the first Genie Plus selection I'm going to make once I tap into the park is going to be for Tiana's. Because I knew Haunted Mansion Holiday was like a has to happen for Deacon. And I thought, we'll definitely get a lightning lane for Tiana's. It'll just be a matter of like what our return time is. So 7 a.m., join virtual queue for Haunted Mansion Holiday. My goal was to try and be able to do it before we had to leave the park because virtual queues just get called at some point. You don't,
And you don't
have
know
a
how it's
lot of
gonna go. Yeah.
exactly. Like we ran into that issue when we were there was,
Exactly.
it got called and now it's not, great time for us to go. Got group 14. Yes. So I felt really good that we'd be able to do it in that first hour of the park. At 7:05, I went in to do a mobile order for Jolly Holiday because Cooper loves the macarons there.
Yep.
Big fan. So I went in, and by the time I went in, it was 7:05 in the morning. The earliest window I could get was 9:30 in the morning. And like we were hoping to leave by 9, we were going to come back. So instead I
Sure.
said, okay, never mind. So I booked it for a 1 p.m. So I thought when we're back from watching my husband's game, we'll do that. So anyways, 7:05. I also did an order at the Mint Julep bar. They had a seasonal seasonal version of the mint julep that I wanted to try, and we were going to get some beignets for Deacon. At 7:25, they started scanning us into the park. So our plan was to rope drop Peter Pan. So we lined up, and we were right at the rope stuff. You would have been very proud.
I am.
Right on the rope. I took a picture with the boys.
Proper
right
rope drop.
Proper rope drop. We did it. I also, once we were scanned into the park at 7:25, that's when I could book Tiana's because that's when you're allowed to book your first lightning lane. The earliest return time I could get was 10:05 to 11:05. I kept refreshing and refreshing. I could not get anything earlier. I'm wondering if maybe they weren't giving out lightning lanes earlier, like maybe they were going to prioritize a virtual queue. I don't know. Because I'm like,
sure,
there was only 50 people who have scanned into the park before us, right? Like we were pretty close to like that first group. So I don't know. That was the earliest it would get me. I refreshed for quite a while. And then at some point I decided, you know what, we're not going to be here between 10 and 11. So I just modified it at that point. It was at like a 1 o'clock. So like this is
that's actually pretty perfect.
Before 8 a.m. It's already like giving you return times of like 1 in the afternoon. So I was glad I was booking that first. So I thought, okay, we'll just book that. And then we have it and we're guaranteed to ride it. Great. So 8 a.m., right on the dot, that's when the rope comes down. Like they held us there right until 8. We rush over to Peter Pan. Guess what did not open at early entry? Oh, it's Peter Pan. Yeah, really frustrating. And you know what? This happened when we went with my family a couple years ago. Same thing. We tried to rope drop Peter Pan and it didn't open. And I'm like, this is the ride everyone wants to rope drop because you can't get a lightning lane for it. Like, how do you not open it with the park?
Yeah.
So frustrating. So fine. Go past Peter Pan. Another one we were going to try and do was Matterhorn. So we go to Matterhorn. Yes, they're opening with early entry. So we were on the second sled. Cooper liked it. He was a big fan. Deacon did not like it. He found the Yeti a little too scary, I guess.
Really?
Yeah. So he was not a fan. Like, and I get it. He's kind of right there and it's dark and anyways, so he didn't love it, but Cooper really liked it. So, and my body didn't hurt. So I felt like that was a win.
I mean, is it any scarier than the one on Expedition Everest?
Well, to be fair, when he came off of that ride, and he was only 5, I think, when he rode it, he came off and said, well, that was actually terrifying. So
okay, there you go. Maybe Deacon just doesn't like Yetis.
Maybe he just doesn't like Yetis. So anyways, we did it. So then our next plan was to do Alice in Wonderland because it's right there, right across from Matterhorn. It's now 8:10. It's closed, didn't open. Like, and I think I said like early entry. This isn't early entry. This is like regular park open. The park opened at 8. Early entry was at the
say
DCA park.
When you were saying early entry, I'm like, you did not have early entry. You did not stay on site.
No, and there was no point to stay on site because I knew I wanted to rope drop Disneyland because of the Haunted Mansion Holiday and exactly. So anyways, so it's been a bit of a bust. So we go past Alice. Maurice's Treats was kind of on the way. I said, why don't we head over to Big Thunder? Because the kids wanted to ride that. So we picked up the cheesy garlic bread. The boys gave that an 8.5 out of 10. They
Oh,
thought it
that's pretty good.
was pretty good. Cooper and I ate some of it, but it has like a kind of cream cheese on the inside, and we both have lactose issues. So
Yeah.
we sort of ate around the outside, and Deacon said it was really good. We also got the Boysen apple slush.
Oh.
Yeah, these boys were not impressed. 5.5 out of 10 they gave it.
Oh.
Cooper said it was a scam because it's just frozen apple juice. And I was like, yeah,
I mean,
basically. So anyways, they didn't think it was unique enough to warrant getting. So they not a fan. So we went to Big Thunder. It was a posted 10-minute wait. We waited about 20 minutes. And this is still first thing in the morning, but I assume it's because like Peter Pan wasn't open. A whole bunch of rides in Fantasyland weren't open. So a bunch of people had to go somewhere else
find
like we did.
alternatives.
Exactly. So, but it kind of worked out well because our boarding group for Haunted Mansion Holiday got called at 8:45. So basically, once we were done with Big Thunder, we went right over to Haunted Mansion Holiday, which is kind of in that area of the park. My
Yep.
goal was to try not to crisscross too much. And we walked right in, like
Sweet.
immediately in. We're in
Got
the,
called and
anyways,
right on.
beautiful. Deacon loved it.
As we knew
Loved
he
it.
would, because it
As
was
we knew
so
he would.
good.
It was
Yeah.
so good. And even
So
Cooper said that. Cooper said it was so well done. Both of them said it was better than regular Haunted Mansion.
yeah, and I would agree.
So well done. Anyway, so they both loved that. We had our pickup for the mint julep at the mint julep bar. So we picked that up. Both of my children said my mint julep was disgusting.
Of course they would.
Neither of them liked the mint, which I'm like, I get it. Mint juleps are a bit of a, it's like mint and lemon. Like it's,
I mean, it's a
acquired
mojito,
taste.
which are delicious.
Yeah.
Or to some people think like they think it tastes like toothpaste. So it's one or the other.
Yeah, so my kids were more on the toothpaste side of things. So, but loved the beignets. Unfortunately, the filled beignets was a peppermint beignet, which was a bit disappointing because, like, I think if there'd been like a jelly option,
Yeah, because the beignets we had when we were there, we had what, lemon and strawberry? Those were good.
yeah. So the ones we could at least mobile order were peppermint. So I just got the plain ones, which the boys still really liked them. They just said like it would be nice if they were filled because it was kind of like a powdered donut with no filling, which is
like but that's what a beignet is, right? Like it's a big air pocket of deliciousness.
Yeah. So, but they really liked them. So we picked those up. Cooper was pretty hungry at this point, so we also picked up from Bengal Barbecue. We picked up a 2-skewer plate. So
oh gosh,
we got 2 skewers and rice and coleslaw at 9 in the morning. But like he was hungry, and yeah, I'm like sure. So we got a chicken and a beef. He loved the chicken. The beef was okay, but like it tasted good, but it was a bit tough. So like texture wasn't great, but yeah, Cooper really liked it. So, and then, oh my goodness, at this point, so Deacon realizes when we're at Bengal Barbecue, he has left his hat at the Matterhorn. And I'm like, dude, we have to go. We're trying to get to your, dad's game. We're in and we're out, whatever. So I'm like, okay, you run to Matterhorn. We're going to get food here for Cooper. And you're going to meet me. I say, meet me at the Christmas tree at the end of Main Street. What Christmas tree? There's like a giant Christmas tree. Christmas tree. Are you kidding me? You don't remember seeing this on the way in? No. I'm like, okay, trust me. Just walk to the end of Main Street. You'll see a gigantic Christmas tree anyway. So we met there, totally fine. He found his hat.
Good.
Not missing. So, because like I said, the weather was still very hot and sunny during the day. I think this day it was 22 Celsius during the day. So it's like we still wanted to make sure we had our hat and everything. So
yeah.
Anyways, this was interesting. So you'll recall, I booked our first lightning lane at 7:23 a.m. And the way it works in Florida is that you can book your next lightning lane 2 hours afterwards. But if you book it ahead of park open, you have to wait till park open, right? So, if park opens at 9, the earliest you can still book is 11, right?
Sure.
I was allowed to book 2 hours after I booked my first one to the minute. Yeah. So like I'd gone into the app and it said you can book your next one at 9:23. So it actually mattered in a sense that like how early I scanned into the park,
Yeah.
because that was the clock that it started. So there were some weird things I found with the lightning lane booking, like with the stacking. It didn't quite work as I expected. Like sometimes I'd scan into something and it wouldn't let me book right away. It kept making me wait the 2 hours. So I don't know. It got a little
Mm-hmm.
weird. Um, but that's fine. So anyway, so I made a note that I could book my next one at 9:23. So at 9 o'clock, we left the park, went to my husband's game. They won gold. Woo!
Woo!
So it was
Which
like
was a big deal.
big deal. Cause
Big
like
deal.
Canada basically never beats the US. The US is like so
Never,
much
ever,
better
ever.
than us at
And we
ultimate.
should just
So
put a sidebar. Canada did really well this year and beat the US for gold in many categories. But that's,
3 out of 4
yeah,
categories at this
yeah,
tournament, the Canada won gold. So it was a big deal. I'm
it
so
was a big
happy
deal.
that we went because Dan was saying like, don't worry about it. Like you don't have to come,
Mm,
just have fun at Disneyland. I'm like, no, like we're here to anyway. So it was great. The kids got to run onto the field. We got tons of pictures, like,
yeah,
with Dan and his gold medal and his team. And anyway, so at 9:23, I booked our next lightning lane for Indiana Jones. At 11:23, I booked a lightning lane for It's a Small World Holiday. So remember, this is the other one I thought was going to be a virtual queue. It wasn't. There wasn't a virtual queue, but it was a lightning lane you could book. And I was kind of watching the return times for things and kind of doing it based on what had a return time. Because again, we were kind of like making our way back to the park. So we ended up getting back to the park, scanning in at 1 o'clock. So we scanned back in at 1, which was great for our Jolly Holiday pickup because it was like right then.
mm-hmm,
So we stopped there, picked that up. Then the boys wanted to get some food. Um, I kind of wished I had just made a Jolly Holiday lunch order, and I didn't think
sure.
of it at the time, and it was just a complete miss on my part. So I'm like, okay, where else has like a kind of immediate return time? The kids wanted ham or cheeseburgers, so I'm like, okay, fine. So the Galactic Grill had returned like kind of immediate mobile
Yep.
mobile order return time. So we ordered there. The kids did not like the food at all.
No.
Cooper wouldn't even eat his burger. Like he just said it was so gross.
Mm,
So that was disappointing. And I was frustrated because I'm like, we could have ordered from Jolly Holiday, just picked up everything there and
sure.
they would have gotten something that they liked. So that's fine. At 1:23, because we could again book another lightning lane because we were still waiting for our return times for our other lightning lanes that I had booked. At 1:23, the kids made me book Autopia because they really wanted to ride it. And it was kind of in that area. So I'm like, okay,
'Cause
fine. At
it's right
least
in
we're
the
not
middle, right? So, all
what
right.
anyways. So at 1:40, we scanned into It's a Small World. It said it was a 10-minute wait. Or sorry, we waited 10 minutes. I think the wait time was like 40, but it was a really long, like the lineup for the lightning lane was like out the lane and like around
Mm-hmm.
the corner, and they had to have one of those signposts to show you where the end of the lightning lane
So,
was.
so that is long.
It was very long. I think it was worth doing though. It was very cute. Like it was super, super decorated, lights
Yeah.
everywhere. Um, and then the Disneyland one has the actual characters within it, which is a fun little, Easter egg hunt for the kids.
I think it's super fun.
Yeah. So it just and the song was not just It's a Small World, it was It's a Small World and Jingle Bells to the theme of It's a Small World, like mixed together. So I mean, it
Sure.
was all the same tune, but at least it changed up a bit. And then they still did the different, languages and stuff. So
Yeah.
anyways, I was glad we did it. I liked it. We then went over to Autopia at 2:15, scanned into that. Yeah, it was a walk on. Like literally, we did
Yeah.
not need a lightning lane for this. Like there was no line at all. We did Autopia, whatever, the kids liked it. I don't even get it. I'm like, like Deacon literally didn't steer his car. He sat in his car and just let it go bump, 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 like the entire way.
That's a ride that I'm surprised is basically at both parks and has never been rethemed.
I've heard that one of them they're making electric soon or something like
Uh,
that. They're gonna switch it over to be electric, but
sure. But anyways.
So then we headed over to Indiana Jones. We scanned in at 2:40 for that one. It was a posted 55-minute wait. We waited like 10 minutes, right? So,
Hmm.
definitely worth having the lightning lane for that. Kids loved it. Except this was the crazy part. So we wait so that we can have the front row because Cooper wants the steering wheel, which I'm like, great choice because, sir, that is the experience. I really
That
enjoyed it
is
when
what
we
we
did it.
learned when we went.
Right. So he
Yeah.
sits at the steering wheel. Afterwards, he's like, I didn't like sitting at the steering wheel. I would recommend people don't do it. I was like, what? But it's so fun. You're like, anyways. But I think because his arms just aren't that long, like I think
Hmm.
he was just leaned. He couldn't brace himself, I think, enough for the bumps, maybe.
Sure. Now the
I don't
test
know.
is if I do it, because my
Yes.
arms are probably about as long as Cooper's now. So
Well, we'll have to go back to Disneyland stuff
I guess so. I'll have to test this out.
just to test it out.
Yeah.
So we did Indiana Jones. Then we walked over to Tiana's because it's over there. At 3:05 we scanned in. We were basically like a walk on
Hmm.
from the lightning lane. I don't know how long the virtual, like there was no standby wait obviously, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just virtual queue, so I don't know how long people were waiting, but we really liked it. The
Hmm.
kids had a great time. We sat, so there's like, it can seat 7 and you're one in front of the other, so we sat in 3, 4, and 5, and Deacon was in 3. He didn't get wet at all, like not even a little bit wet. I was in 5 and my legs got a bit wet, but my body was okay. The only thing that was awkward is that you're allowed to bring your backpack on, like they don't make you check it or anything like
Yep.
that,
Yep.
but there's nowhere to put it.
No, it's a very
Like,
awkward ride to like stick it anywhere. It's like, where's this
yeah,
supposed to go?
like
I don't
sometimes I
know.
was holding it, sometimes I kind of had it in my legs, sometimes I was, anyways, it was very awkward to have this backpack with us. But otherwise it was fine. We did, one of the reasons we had a big backpack with us this time was because we were going to stay late. I
Hmm.
knew it was going to get cold. We had pants, sweaters, and jackets with us, so the kids actually put on their raincoats to ride Tiana's. But at this point during the day, we were still in shorts and t-shirts because it was warm enough. So, anyways, if you want to get wet, 1 and 2, you will get
Yeah.
soaked. If you don't want to get so wet, but you still want to ride, you can sit further back, and it was fine. Like we
I
didn't.
learned that from when I rode it with Elliot because he sat 1 and I sat 2, and little man got super soaked.
Oh yeah, yeah, he would have been just like drenched.
Trenched.
So then we did, Deacon wanted to do the Rise of the Resistance. So I had booked us a single pass lightning lane for just Deacon and I. Cooper didn't want to do it.
Hmm.
So Deacon and I went and did Rise. This was at about 3:30. And Cooper went and did Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run single rider. And he actually did it twice in the amount of time we did
Wow.
Rise because it
That's
was it
pretty
was a
good.
walk on
Yeah.
for him single rider. He got to be a gunner and an engineer. So, and he was almost going to do it a third time because he was kind of waiting, but we showed up right then. I ended up doing a mobile order for a Ronto-less wrap because we had
Oh,
those
yep.
before, and I was really good. So I really liked it, and I hadn't had anything to eat at this point. Like I hadn't had lunch yet. So I got that for myself. The kids were hungry because again they had the hamburgers, but they didn't really eat them. So I looked up Red Rose Tavern was not too far from where we were, so we did a mobile order there. It was okay. They got like chicken fingers and fries.
Yep.
Although I said to them because I think they both got kids meals. I was like, you should have gotten the orange with it because neither of them really wanted the fries. I'm like,
No, the orange
get
is a good option.
yeah, get the cuties orange, but whatever. They did their mobile order and I didn't pay enough attention, so whatever. Anyways, they got that. Deacon at one point went up and like asked for a refill on his pop, and they gave it to him. And then Cooper went and asked, they're like, oh, there's no refills on your pop. So I don't know. I was like, I don't know. Deacon got a nice cast member, I guess, that just like let him have a
Or
refill.
smiled just the right way.
Just
Was like,
just still
yes, little boy.
has a cute enough smile. So anyways, at this point we were like, okay, we're done with Disneyland. We're heading over to DCA now. Um, we scanned into DCA at 5 o'clock.
Wow.
And when we left Disneyland Park, the amount of people who were scanning into Disneyland Park stuff was insane. There were 30 to 40 people at every single gate waiting to scan
Why?
in. I assume it's all the
Oh,
people after work who are
yeah.
annual pass
Yeah,
holders
yeah.
who want to come and do all the holiday stuff,
Sure,
right?
all the holiday stuff plus Tiana's and
Plus, they can join the virtual queue for
yeah,
Tiana's without having had to scan in, so it was insane. At that point, I sort of in my head thought, we're probably not coming back to this park because it was so busy stuff. Like trying to get lightning lanes was so hard because the return times, like at 2 in the afternoon, the return time for the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway was like 10 p.m. It was crazy.
yeah,
Like it
that's
was
nuts.
so
But
busy.
that's a Friday when holiday stuff starts, I suppose.
I guess so. And with Tiana's opening, I guess that's part of it. I
Yeah,
have also read, it's kind of anecdotal, but a lot of people say that when one park has early entry, everyone goes to the other park who's not staying on property
sure.
because they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to. But there's only 3 on-site hotels that get early entry
Yeah.
in California. So like I've read reports where they've like had people rope drop both, and like whether they have early entry or not, it didn't make a
Hmm.
huge difference. So, anyways, because we went to DCA at 5, it was so much less busy in comparison to
Yeah.
Disneyland. Like it was a noticeable difference. And DCA also they're the ones that have all the holiday food booths. Like they sort of do
Hmm.
like what Epcot does, right? Like with all the food booths. So they had all that going on. They had the World of Color seasonal version opening that night. So, they and
There
like,
was stuff.
the Cars Land was themed for Christmas, so there
Yeah.
was lots of stuff that was happening over there too. It wasn't like it was just Disneyland Park, but anyways, noticeable difference in how busy it was. So we went in, we were going past the Mater's junkyard jamboree, which is basically like alien swirling saucers. And
Yep.
anyways, it was themed for Christmas. It was very cute. So we went in there. It was a posted 10-minute wait. Uh, would have been less than 10 minutes, except they put us, there's 2 sides, and they count you out and they put you in and whatever. And then our side broke down. And
Oh
so
no.
then the
Yeah.
other side goes, then they had to move us to the other side. And, so we ended up being sort of like two iterations behind where we would have
Sure.
been. But so it was 20 minutes, whatever. It was cute. Deacon loves it because he loves when you squish side to side. Then we did a single pass lightning lane for Radiator Springs Racers. It was a 55-minute standby. I mean, we pretty much walked in, waited
Hmm.
less than 10 minutes sort of thing. It was great. Our car won. I love that ride. That ride is
It's
so
such a
well
good
done.
ride.
It's such a good ride.
Yeah.
The single rider line was pretty long.
Hmm.
It probably would have taken you 20, 30 minutes through that single rider line. So, anyways, but we did it. I had booked a 6 o'clock lightning lane for Toy Story Mania.
Hmm.
So we did that again, pretty quick through the lightning lane. It was a 45-minute standby. I was showing the kids in line the like tricks that you
Hmm.
can do. And so the kids sat together and whatever, they tried to do it. And then I sat by myself. Steph, it is impossible to do these things by yourself. Oh my God.
Well,
Like all
because you
the
both have
tricks.
to activate them.
Well, I know, but I'm like, well, I'll try and do it myself. Oh my God. The one with the aliens where you have to get like one on each alien.
Is you can't do
Oh
it
my God.
fast enough.
It was like
Yeah.
impossible. I was like, I'm just
Yeah.
wasting my time getting it on these stupid 100-point aliens. So I got a very poor score and confirmed that you, in fact, need a partner to do these. So the kids did pretty well, but like, still not great. Then we had a 6:30 lightning lane for web slingers. It was a 45-minute standby wait. So we walked over there, same thing, walked right on. Kids loved that one.
So
Um,
good.
it's really fun. Yeah, they really liked it. We walked through some of the shops. At 7:15, we went and checked in for the dessert party. I
Hmm.
asked for one of the high top tables. So they have some that are low, like regular size tables, and then they have like kind of bar height tables. So I asked for the bar height table, which I would recommend. We were a really big fan of the view that we had. If like, especially for the kids, because they're shorter, it was nice to be like higher up.
Yep.
Then we went to Soren. I had booked a lightning lane. We got B1, which
Ooh,
that's where you want to be.
it
Uh,
is where
it
you want to be.
it was only a 20-minute standby. I mean, we waited 10 minutes. We then did Monsters Inc. Again, I just booked a lightning lane. I got a pretty much immediate return time for 8 o'clock. Did that at 8:20. So the show starts at 9. At 8:20, we went back to the dessert party. to like check in, but they had told us, so you check in by the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail, like kind of over in that area. And they said, come back here. So I went back there, and everyone who's there is now trying to check in for like the next party because there's 2 showings.
Okay.
And so I'm like, and they're like, oh, no, you just go over to like where you're going to sit, which makes a lot more sense.
Sure.
But that's not what they told me. They definitely told me to come back here. So I'm like, okay, well, that made more sense. Anyways, so get checked in where you have to check in, and then you can just go to where the dessert party is. So then we walked over. There's the green flag, says dessert party. It's right past where we had gone to see the World of Color,
Yep.
where we were in like the blue section.
Yep.
So the dessert party. And our table, when we first walked right into the dessert party, our table was right there. Like we were right at the entrance. So we were like middle-ish, like not quite the exact middle, but I kind of liked it because I'm like, we are right at the exit. Like
Yeah.
we
So
don't
when you
have
need to
to.
go.
Exactly. The food was not good.
Did you expect it to be good?
No, but so here was one of the problems. So it was a seasonal offering, right? So they had a lot of like seasonal stuff,
Sure.
which meant a lot of mint. And my kids not about the mint. We were also at a table, the table seat 4, so there was 3 of us, and we had another lady sat with us. She was lovely. We chatted with her. She also was like, this food is not good. Like, and I had asked for dairy friendly ones for Cooper and I.
Yep.
And there was just a lot of stuff he didn't want to eat. And so anyways, it food wise, it was definitely a bit of a waste. I got a tea, which was great because it was so cold stuff. Like, so we ended up putting on our pants and our sweaters and our coats.
Yeah.
That was really important. But when the show started, I think because it's a water show,
Yeah.
it just
Because
got
all the mist in the
frigid.
air.
Yes, like we didn't get wet. Like we were definitely far
No.
enough back. We weren't getting wet, but I think just the water in the air, because the water's probably freezing cold. It just, oh man. Like, so at one point, Deacon, he had bought a stuffy. He was shoving it into his coat to give himself like insulation. And then the bag, the stuffy came and he was putting over his legs to just try and give himself like
Wow.
more. Yeah, the kids were frozen. Like, and I will say, so the show, it's the effects are super cool, like the one that we saw, but it's Christmas music. So it's not necessarily Disney IP music. And so for me, I was like, I actually liked the World of Color regular show better.
So this sounds like World of Color dessert Christmas holiday party was a bust.
So I will say, I loved where we sat. I loved how easy it was knowing how the check-in process worked and how like low key it was. We were able to just ride rides instead of like having to line up super early, whatever. All that was great, which is what I knew. I knew that that was what we were paying for and not the food, but it was disappointing that the food was so disappointing.
So the lesson to learn based on our experiences of dessert parties, not really worth it. Because
No,
we didn't love the one at Disney World either.
no,
That's too
no.
bad.
Yeah, I know. It has so much, you really think that it could be so good. Anyways, and then spoiler, this was the end of our night. So yes, I
Nah.
had grand plans to go back to Disneyland Park, but with how busy it was, I was just, and the kids were frozen. They were so
Sure.
cold. And they were just done at
They were
this
done.
point. Like it was a long, even Deacon was just like, he wanted to be done. So I feel like we got a lot done. I think the Genie Plus was really, really helpful in us being able to navigate things. I'm glad how we chose to do the virtual queue for Haunted Mansion Holiday. I think we hit all of the highlights we wanted to do,
Yeah.
and got to see a great show. Like the kids liked it. I just, knowing that I've seen the regular one, I was like, I didn't think it was as good, but yeah, all in all, it was a successful day.
Yeah, I'd say so. You crammed it all in after we discussed like the big long list of what you were gonna do.
Oh
You
my
managed
goodness.
to get it all.
Oh, although
And
I really had,
Dan won gold.
and you won a gold
Just as
medal.
just
I
so
mean,
it does the cherry on top.
it
You
was
can't really beat that at that point.
it was all in all, it was a great day. And then it was, like I said, not a bad walk then home back to
Yeah.
the hotel. So I was happy with where we stayed. So Anyway, so yeah, so that wraps it up. That wraps up and then we just flew home the next day. Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
So
Very
that'll wrap it up
nice.
for this episode. So I guess, Steph, until next time.
Tweedle out.